Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, first and foremost, thank you, Dalton, for joining us, and check his YouTube and Instagram handle at Dealing with Dalton. What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate the invite.
Yeah, definitely. So kind of give everybody who you are. Probably people on here probably know you, but if not, who are you? Where are you from? When did you start reselling?
So my name is Dalton. I grew up in Kansas. I've lived in Orlando, Florida for the past, I want to say 4 years. And I've been reselling for a little over 2 years now, full time for about 18 months since about the beginning of COVID.
Awesome. And then what do you mostly sell just in general?
Shoes. I only sell shoes.
Who did you like Renzi or those guys get you into shoes, or kind of what got you into the shoe game?
Yeah, so I initially started off selling just about everything, about like most people do, and definitely influenced from Renzi. After I started picking up shoes from Goodwill and the thrift stores I shop at, realized the how streamlined it could be just doing one item, and how I can set up a block of time to clean, a block of time to photograph, time to list, and having one item is just for me the easiest way to get that done, and have these processes that I can do every single day, every single week, and makes it easier for me. And that's kind of what leaped me into going full time.
Nice, man. First off, congrats going full time, and Renzi's in the chat as well, dude.
Yeah,
shout out to Renzi and the coming hot. Awesome, man. Yeah, so kind of give me your goals. What are you trying to be in the next, like, let's say, year or two in terms of your reselling monetarily, or what's kind of what you're shooting for?
Okay, so I'm kind of hit a roadblock, if you could say. There's two things that I want to hit. I need to hire somebody to scale. So that's the business aspect of things. But in my personal life, I'm trying to get into a house. I've been renting. I live on the third floor of an apartment, which kind of makes things hard. I can't schedule pickups for my packages that are going out. Like, there's some things that living in an apartment makes difficult on me. So I'm trying to get into a house, so I need to save up that down payment. But I also know that if I'm planning to scale at all, I've kind of hit the cap that I can do by myself. So I need to hire somebody. So I know when I go through that process, I'm going to start losing some money. I got to find the right person. I'm sure anybody that's ever hired knows how that goes. It's kind of hard. I don't know which way I'm going to go. If I'm going to just keep saving by myself so I can get into a house and then hire, or hire and then hopefully speed up the process of getting to a house. So kind of up in the air on that right now, trying to get that figured out.
Nice. And then we'll jump back in that second, but like, what's kind of your numbers looking like in terms of like what's your sales looking like last 12 months, this month, and then like what do you think it could go to if you do hire somebody, when you do hire somebody?
Right. So right now, so for those of you who followed me on Instagram for a while, I used to post my numbers every single month, and then after I hit 10K a month, I just decided to stop. I hit that goal, and then since then, it's kind of been in that area. Some months are 8, some months are 12. I think the most I've ever done in a month is 14, but it's usually between 8 and 12,000 a month, excluding July. I don't know what happened in July. I guess I didn't put forth the effort I should have. I only sold like $6,000 in the month.
Oh, damn! I think you dropped off. You'll be back in a second. Who's on chat? Flip, Renzi, what's going on, guys? We'll wait for Dalton to jump back in a second. Other than that, we'll kind of jump into kind of like what I'm thinking about, and we can kind of talk about more. I would definitely, and I'll say this when he gets back on too, I would definitely scale first, and then buy a house. There we go. What's going on, man?
What I miss?
Nothing. We took a second off.
All right. So what I was just saying, my numbers are basically between 8 and 12,000 a month right now, and I've had trouble scaling past that by myself. So that's why I'm looking on to bring on an employee.
Definitely. And then just what I would do is I would definitely hire first instead of getting a house,
Yeah.
right? House is definitely a liability. That takes some cash.
Yeah, it's kind of the direction I'm kind of wanting to go. It's just I don't really have a deadline, but my apartment's lease is up in June of next year, so I don't want to go another year in an apartment. So that's why it's kind of that decision I need to make.
You can always live in your warehouse, man.
Yeah, true. Now I got a storage unit, so that would be kind of cramped.
Yeah. How big is your storage unit right now?
10 by 10.
10 by 10. Nice.
Yeah.
What are you paying for it? Where you're at?
So I pay up a little bit because I want I ship out of it, so I don't want it to be 100 degrees in there. So I pay for a climate controlled one. It's really nice. I pay $175 a month.
Nice. And how many active listings you got right now?
So before I went on vacation, I was sitting just over 500, but I haven't been listing, so it's down to like 470-ish right now.
Listings. Awesome. I know. Yeah.
I know. Sorry to cut you off. I definitely choose to go the route of pricing to sell. I know a lot of resellers like have all these active listings, and for me, I'm very accepting of offers. So in my opinion, I have a very good sell-through rate. So I don't look at my active listings and try to say, oh, I really want to hit 1,000 active listings. Like, it would be nice, but I'd rather hit that sell-through rate and keep turning and burning.
No, we're on the same page with that. It's kind of interesting. What do you think makes sellers think that way? What's the mentality that you think they have?
So I can see the pros and cons to both sides. The ones that list on the higher end and just wait for that offer. I'm never going to experience those insane, like, wow, you sold these Converse for $70. I would never even think to list them that high. But then you got people like Little Elm Goods and Little Elm Thrifts who do list like that, and they'll get those crazy sales. They probably have a higher average sell price than I do. So they're profiting more per pair, where I'm profiting less, but I'm selling more. So it's just, you just pick your battle with that one. I can see the pros and cons to both sides, but I definitely would rather sell more faster than having that average sell-through price.
No, you're actually, in terms of the numbers, you're actually correct, right? So if anybody's listening to this as well, like if you look at the numbers, how it's built out, the more turnover you have, the faster and more money you make in general. I think I flipped on the call, so we kind of top flipped that as well. But it's all about moving products, right? I'll break down who has a gamer. Jack Weaver has a good demo, like graphic on it. Basically, if you turn over with 20% month over month rather than have 100% over a 12-month span, you grow your money exponentially fast. So it comes out to be like 4 to 5 times more. So it's pretty actually dang interesting.
Yeah, I've never looked at like any studies or numbers like that. So that's interesting to hear.
There's always a difference between Amazon sellers and eBay sellers. Amazon sellers will push it down. Maybe it's because the hands-on product. You guys have it's a lot of sourcing on eBay in general.
Right.
And then, like, are you only on eBay right now? Or are you listing on anywhere else?
Nope. So I do the majority of my sales on Poshmark, but I do sell on Mercari and eBay as well. Mercari is really I just have listings on there just to have them there. I don't do very much on Mercari at all.
And then, like, in terms of Poshmark, do you know why it's the most? Because you have the same amount of listings on Poshmark as eBay, correct?
Yes. Everything's listed on all 3 of the platforms. So I don't know an exact. I think I just have an idea of the people that shop on Poshmark more than I have an idea of the people that shop on eBay. I think that what I'm sourcing is more Poshmark focused as opposed to what's selling on eBay. Because, I mean, your typical reseller is going into the thrift store and only looking up comps on eBay. So when they go into the shoe section, a lot of the shoes that I'm picking up, they're passing on because if you look on eBay, the comps aren't there. But there's several brands that you can go in and will be sitting on the shelf that resellers will pass on that will sell on Poshmark since Poshmark's more of a since you share on Poshmark, people are scrolling through and they'll just see a pair of shoes and be like, oh, these are cute. I'm not necessarily looking for these shoes, but I found them and I want them. Whereas eBay, they're searching for a specific shoe, they're comparing prices, they're going to try to find the best deal. On Poshmark, they're just kind of scrolling through and finding something that they like, if that makes sense.
No, 100% it does. That's actually interesting, right? So that's why Renzi's kicking ass too at finding a lot of the shoes. So when you go to the search bar, do you do any sold comps on eBay at all, or is it pure Posh?
So at this point, I'm rarely looking up comps in the thrift store. I know this is kind of isn't the popular thing to say, but I think that style, brand, and condition are more important than comps. If you're getting started selling shoes, you definitely need to stick to those comps, learn what's selling, find out what's selling faster than others, like what styles are working, and then you can kind of get a feel for it. And then when you go into the store, and even when you're just like walking around, like you're just out at the store, you can see what people are wearing. Just remember what's in style right now. And then you can kind of apply that to what brands you're seeing, the condition that they're in, and then pick those shoes up. And it's just more than just comps. But when I do look up comps, like say I come across a new brand that I've never heard of, I will check eBay and Poshmark. I rarely check comps on Mercari because, like I said, I just don't sell much on Mercari.
And Mercari, we bought a lot off Mercari. Mercari is mostly buyers and sellers. It's usually like it's like it's like consumer to consumer, right? It's really not business or reseller to consumer. And it's really weird stuff that sells on Mercari. A lot of home goods. That's pretty.
Yeah, and as far as shoes, the only shoes that I really have luck on Mercari are like higher end Nikes. I feel like the hype shoes sell well on there, and everything else is just kind of random.
Yeah. In terms of Mercari, I'll kind of give you some weird thing. There's a guy that was drop shipping chains, fake chains to Mercari, making like $100,000 a year on it. That's the type of customers that's on Mercari. There's a bunch on there.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Nice, man. So you talked about like getting a house. What kind of house do you want? Is it just you're gonna have like an extra space for like reselling, or you're still gonna have that storage space, or kind of what are you looking for in terms of a house?
In terms of a house, I want to get rid of the storage space. If like I can have a garage or an extra, everyone's wearing Skechers. I see that. Yeah. So if I can have like an extra bedroom or an extra or space in the garage to bring the storage into the house, that'll save me the almost $200 a month, and then as well as the house hacking aspect of it. I'm a single man, so I don't really have anybody to tell me that no, we can't have anybody move in the house. Like if I have an extra bedroom, it's going to get rented out, and I'm just looking to minimize my expenses. So that's why I'm trying to get into a house, because right now I'm paying almost $1,000 in rent, which I'm not too thrilled about, plus the $200 a month into a storage unit.
I say it's about $1,200 in total before like expenses and shit.
Yeah.
Adds up quick too. Real
quick. Yep.
And then kind of like, so you're looking to hire a person. Is it just to do kind of the, we'll call it the Renzi method, since it's on the channel too. Are they going to be like the cleaners, or are you going to have them do photos, or what are you planning with that?
This is where I'm up in the air about. I know that if I hire somebody to clean, they're not going to clean as well as I will. Like even if I pay per shoe, they're still if I pay them per shoe, they're incentivized to clean as many shoes as possible. But that also has the chance of them lowering the quality of cleaning that they're doing to try to burn through as many shoes as possible. And then if I pay them hourly, then they're not incentivized to clean as fast as possible. So there's kind of an issue with that. I know Little Elm Goods and Little Elm Thrifts, which I mentioned earlier, they hire somebody to do the photographing, which is just as I'm sorry if you can hear this cleaning truck outside. So they hired somebody to photograph, and which is just as measurable as cleaning, and it's so much easier to photograph than it is to clean, because they're just taking the same pictures over and over. So I'm kind of leaning towards hiring somebody to photograph for me. It would be much nicer to hire somebody to clean, but I think that I can keep the quality of cleaning and then just outsource the photographing. And I'd probably bring them on as a hourly employee, so I can have them do shipping for me as well.
Nice. Yeah. So like, would you charge per unit to photo and then do hourly to ship?
Obviously it's going to be, since I've never hired before, it's going to be something to test. Right. So I could test both of them. Best case scenario, I'd rather hire somebody, $12 an hour to just do both of them. But if they're slacking off, I've obviously got to either let them know they need to step it up, or maybe switch to that per pair model.
100%. What's going on, eBay Addicts? And dealing with Dalton, were you that guy dancing on Instagram?
Yeah, that's me. Yep, that's me. Stepping up the reels lately.
Nice. Yeah, let's even go into it. Like, so we Flip said you're big into TikTok and you're jumping into the reels. Like, what got you started, and like what you seen progress wise?
So it's back to the house, man. I decided I'm saving for a house. I'm trying to maximize every revenue possible. Just through like Amazon affiliates. I'm trying to get my YouTube monetized. So every single opportunity I have of doing that is the opportunity I'm going to take. So I've been jumping on Instagram Reels. TikTok's not quite as popular for me as Instagram is, but on Instagram Reels, I posted one and it got like 4,000 views in a day. So I was like, wow, this is nice. So I posted again the next day. And then over the past 30 days, I've posted, I want to say 27 reels, and I've had almost 500,000 impressions on my account. So nice. If I can keep hitting these impressions, I mean, I've grown my following count by 12% this month. They don't all convert to YouTube, but my YouTube is growing about 10% every month. So I'm just trying to get the YouTube monetized and try to find all these different income funnels that I can to help fund this house. I know that's not really popular. I get complaints in my comments about, the Amazon affiliates and all that, but I mean, I got to do what's best for me. So
Yeah, 100%. Go for the cash, especially if we're trying to save up for a house and try to scale that way. Like one thing that might help on like how we did when we scaled our Amazon is we just cut off everything else and focus on one thing. A little bit different method, right? Because you can scale a little bit easier when you're just moving that direction, and you're gonna take a dip. How we did is we took a dip on like the first 2 months, but then it scaled exponentially, and you can make a lot more cash once you focus on it. That's kind of been that worked for us. Again, to each their own. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. So are you saying basically focus on like, since I have my focus on content and reselling, you say just like focus on reselling and scale? Is that
that's how I made a few mil on it, right? Is just I just looked at so we were running. I'll kind of give the background. So we were doing eBay and then Amazon. We did the eBay to Amazon flips. Our eBay was doing about 60,000 a month, give or take. Margins are good, about like probably 20, 30,000 net on it. But we started dropping that when our Amazon came up. So we kind of, I think of it as like, so our eBay's right here, right? Our Amazon was coming up. We saw a big, massive increase. Whatever you had the hockey stick curve with. And then we started dropping down the eBay and then just crashed up. And then we just liquidated. If anybody's to liquidate eBay inventory through an auction, it's a bad play. Try to sell it off to a reseller. We lost probably 100 grand on that side, but it worked out well in the end. But yeah, if you focus on one thing, it works pretty well.
Yep. I struggle with that sometimes. I know if I focused all of my energy on reselling, I could scale faster, but I don't want to get burnt out. I do the content as a hobby, and I don't spend too much time on it. I know if I spend too much time on it, I'm making a mistake. So it's just more of a hobby, and I'm just trying to monetize that hobby as much as I can without spending too much time doing that, because I know the reselling is where the money is at.
No, dude, you can make a hell of a lot of money on content. What is it? Harry Tornado, we had him on a couple days ago. Yeah, he makes majority of his cash off his YouTube. Right. He makes good cash off YouTube.
Right.
Yeah. Shout out to Josh too, by the way. Awesome, man. I know we can kind of dive into this as well. I know you and Drew are looking to take on those that 1,000-pound of shoes and give that a test. Like, what's your thoughts on it so far? Like, what do you have any plans going into it? Kind of give us a rundown with that.
So I don't have any expectations up front. I've bought pallets in the past. I've bought pallets directly from Goodwill, and I want to say that I kept maybe 20% of those shoes. And those 20% of the shoes that I kept are, I'd say about half of them are shoes that I would have passed on in the thrift store, only selling them because I got them in the pallet and I need to maximize my profits from the pallet. That being said, since they came from Goodwill, they were obviously picked through. Goodwill, I can tell Goodwill went through and took out all the clean shoes that they wanted to sell in the store, and then they put these pallets together and sold that way. Not sure where the pallets are coming from that we're getting sent to Drew's house, but if we can get 30% of these shoes sellable, it would be a nice replenishable source of inventory, and I'm hoping it works out. But I'm not going in with any expectations. But replenishable inventory is always something we're looking for as resellers. So I'm hoping it works out.
Hopefully it works out too. And we're covering your downside either way. So like worst case, we'll take it on the chin. Not to be a deal. This is the kind of stuff we're shooting for, right? If we can get you guys we think I chatted over DM. Like if we can get you guys 20,000 pounds and it works out, like we're more than happy to just move weight to everybody we possibly. That's kind of the next shot we're trying to do. And if we can scale you from that 500 active to like 50,000 active, that's kind of what we're shooting for in general. Yep. Nice, man. Yeah, let's actually check these comments real fast. Graham makes $6 million a year on content creator, eBay DAX, so 100%. Shout out to eBay on that. And then Renzi says keep cleaning, hire somebody to take photos, easiest to do as well, and scale. Renzi, do you have any comments for y'all on anything that how you guys could scale, or what you guys did to really move that needle? Maybe get to the next through point, and Dalton as well. Like, what's the next milestone you're trying to shoot for, other than getting that house? Is there any milestones like financially or active listings that you're shooting for?
I'd say I just hit the 500 active listing mark, and I've maintained that pretty well. Right now, I'm trying to get to, I think it's like just under 700, like 696 active listings would fill every inventory slot in my storage unit. So I'm trying to get to the point where I'm maintaining that active listing number. And then from there on, I'll just have to, because that'll fill up my storage unit basically. So I'd either have to look into moving up in size or just waiting until I get into that house. But that's the main goal right now. I'm not sure how long that's going to take.
Mhm.
But definitely trying to get that 700 active listing mark.
And then how are you getting most of your inventory?
Most of it's coming from thrift stores.
Thrifts.
And then just I get some through word of mouth of telling people, hey, this is what I do, and then I get shoes in bulk from some people, but 99% is coming from thrift stores.
Nice. And like, what do you know? I know Renzi breaks it down, so I'm kind of just basing off for Renzi's conversation. I know they break it down per unit. Like, what's your average cost that you're picking up these items for? And do you have a route that you kind of stick around your area?
Yeah. So first, I'll go into the route. I live in Orlando, and I source mainly in Tampa, just because through trial and error, if you're a reseller, you need to take notes on every single stop that you go to and find out which ones are getting the most inventory in and which ones are getting the most quality inventory in, and then build your route around that, right? So instead, it's not as much of just going into your phone and just looking at your app and looking at your maps and seeing this is where the thrift stores are. This is the most this route makes sense. You need to go to each of those stores and the ones that don't make sense when you're looking at the route on the map and figure out which ones are the best thrift stores and then use those as your route. I don't know how much that made sense. Like for Tampa, I'm driving 2 hours away just because I'm getting so much more inventory on average there versus in Orlando. And there's more stops over there that are more consistent than in Orlando. So it makes sense for me to drive those 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. And then is it because it's more like higher socioeconomic in terms of like higher end people? I have no idea. I don't know Florida.
Right.
Is it?
So I don't know how much that has to do with it. It's clear to me that the Tampa thrift stores that I go to get more inventory than the ones that are in Orlando. There are a few in Orlando that do get that inventory. I also think that there's a little bit more competition in Orlando. I could be wrong about that, but it seems like the thrift stores in Orlando that get higher volume of shoes tend to move that inventory quicker than the ones in Tampa. So I think there might be some more competition over here, but I definitely have much more success driving over to Tampa to source.
Interesting. Very interesting. In terms of like Goodwill in general, right? So they aggregate all this stuff and then they pass it off. Usually goes from store aggregations or like a donation center. Yeah, this is the tip that you might like very hard. Miami Goodwill, the bins, they're actually tossing in it's called credentialized, right? Stuff that hasn't gone through the stores. Normally the bins are the end of the stores. Goodwill Miami actually is tossing in credentialized items to their bin store. So there actually is store items in their bins in Miami. We can keep that a secret. Not only 5 people are watching, but if anybody sees it later, kind of interesting actually. Yeah, and I would try to push everybody as possibly can is try to figure out secondary ways to source. The talks inside they're trying to move pretty hard off it. So in the future, kind of interesting insights that we've been really picking up on.
Yeah, and that's another reason that I'm hoping the pallets work out is because right now, obviously, I'm not only sourcing at Goodwill, but when you're sourcing at just one specific thrift store, you're kind of putting all your eggs in one basket. If Goodwill closed down or they decided to sell 100% online tomorrow, a lot of resellers would be going out of business. So that's something that I've been looking into, and that's why I'm hoping that these pallets will be a nice source of inventory just to offset that chance. Obviously, that's not going to happen tomorrow, but a couple years down the line, when thrift stores have focused more online, resellers are going to need to find another way to find inventory.
100%. That's again why we're trying to push this stuff as much as possible. I'll give it test runs.
Right.
Some cool numbers. We actually did that test with Flip. 76% ROI on those items. Hopefully, we're thinking hopefully 200 to 300% on those ones. That's kind of what we're shooting for as much as possible.
Nice.
And then when you buy at thrifts, like what kind of price are you looking to buy at? Is it under a dollar amount? Or are you looking at ROI? Because you said you don't really look at comps anymore because is it just like it's under $10? I'm looking at it.
Yeah. So there's obviously price points that are a definite pickup. Like and it's obviously brand to brand, like if I'm looking at a pair of kids shoes, I got to get them under $5. If I'm looking at a pair of like Sperry's, I got to get them under $5. But if they're nice Nikes, I'll pay $10. And if they're nice Nikes, anything under $10 is a pickup. And then anything over that, it's kind of like, that's when I'll look up comps if I'm not certain. There's obviously other models that I know that if they're priced at 15 or 20, that's still a pickup. It's just, it kind of goes in with knowing the market, like I mentioned earlier, and knowing the styles that are in style. You also need to know what they're selling for. So I don't necessarily go off the average cost that Renzi's pushing, but it's more item to item. So it just depends on what the ROI is per item. If that makes
I
sense.
understand. No,
Yeah.
100%. It makes sense, especially because like unless you're comping everything out, it's kind of hard to do that at scale, especially when you're running through thrift stores. And then like what brands are you kind of your go-to? I know you said Nike. You do look for the kids. I know I see on your Instagram you do a lot of like kids stuff that not
Yep.
many people pick up, right?
Right. Yeah. So I don't do a lot of kid stuff. I just know nobody picks it up. So I'm trying to tell people that there's money to be made in the kid stuff because it's always so cheap. But I'd say my top brands, Nike, obviously. Vans is number 2. Adidas is number 3. I sell a lot of Converse. It's really just everything that you see people wearing. Like the most popular brands you see on people's feet is the most popular brands that I'm selling.
I feel you. And then your thrift route, how many do you normally do in your thrift route? Is it the same each time, correct?
It varies. Like, so I have a route, and this kind of goes into the issue I'm running into with my apartment is I can't do scheduled pickups on the 3rd floor. So luckily my post office closes at 7 p.m. So I can go out and source until 5:36 and then make it home to ship out. But normally I'm hitting about 10 stores, and that kind of goes back. You did mention a second ago. You said you made a comment about hitting as many thrifts, and that's kind of another reason why I'm not sourcing as many comps, because that takes time. I'd rather take an L on a couple shoes that I didn't look up comps on and hit as many thrift stores as possible and pick up as many shoes as possible than spend so much time per store that I'm not hitting every single store that I can in that route that day.
Yeah, 100%. And then what other than Goodwill, where are you sourcing at? You can keep on a deal if it's a secret, but like, is there any mom and pop thrifts, or is it mostly like big chain value stores?
There's a couple mom and pop thrifts in the area that I have luck with. I get a lot of shoes from the flea market. But then, yeah, Salvation Army in my area is no good. Savers, we don't have those in Florida. So as far as big chains go, Goodwill is the main source of inventory. But there is a few mom and pop thrifts that I hit, and the flea market as well.
And then in terms of Salvation Army, why do you think it's not as good as other ones?
They just don't get as much volume of donations. And then their pricing's weird. Ever since they reopened, they do half off everything, and then they just raise their prices ridiculously. Like the pair of shoes are like $45, so they're half off. But I know they're technically not half off. They're just marking their prices up, and I just don't have luck getting shoes at the right price as well as getting good condition shoes, because that's the issue with Salvation Army. Like they're not in good condition. They don't get much inventory, and their prices.
I'm actually super interested. Do you think it's a brand that like a Goodwill has such a bigger brand that everybody like delivers to them, or like what's your thoughts?
I'm not sure. I see where you're going with that. It might be because more people are, because there's only 2 Salvation Armies in the Orlando area that I go to, and there's a lot more Goodwills. So they might be having people. There might be more people sourcing at Goodwills or shopping at Goodwills, so they need to price a little more at Salvation Army, so they get a higher average sell price. But I'm really not sure what goes into it. I don't know. Goodwill's just a lot better in this area.
They do take weight in. Yes, it's amazing. In terms of like your Poshmark store, are you using any like sharing platform, or are you doing it all by hand? Kind of like how are you optimizing your Poshmark store as much as possible?
Yep. So I use an app called Poshmark Share. Let me see. I can't think of what it's called. Super Posher. So it's an app that you download in the App Store, and it will share your closet like 6,000 times a day, or up to 6,000 times a day. And then it also runs random offers to likers. And what else does it do? Oh, it relists old inventory. So if an item is sat for 30 days, it'll relist it for you. And the reason I use it is because it's fully automated, which is the same reason I use you guys. I don't have to do anything with it. I just download the app, I set up the settings, and then it just runs in the background 24/7. It's not like a Chrome extension. It's a little bit more expensive than a Chrome extension, but I'm more than happy to pay up for this app. And the second I started automating my shares, my sales skyrocketed. So
really,
in my opinion, yeah.
In terms of like, is there like an ROI that you saw on it?
I wish I had the numbers to tell you, and because this has been, I mean, my closet sharing, I haven't been using this specific app the entire time, but since I started automating the sharing, it was literally overnight, because I mean, before that I got to go in and share every single item in the morning and then at night, and if I have a chance in the day. But then once it started sharing every second of every day, like obviously every single one of my listings are being pushed towards the top of the search. So overnight, my sales probably 10x'd.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if it's quite that high, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was.
Man, are you doing anything on Facebook Marketplace?
Not at the moment. I've been wanting to jump back into it. I used to sell a lot on Facebook Marketplace, but I stopped selling on Facebook Marketplace because I didn't have time to go meet up with people every single day, and I didn't like meeting. Like I didn't like the interactions on Facebook Marketplace. Like you get people that troll in the comments all the time, and I got to deal with that, and then they DM me, and I just didn't want to deal with it. So I dropped Facebook Marketplace, and since then they've shifted more towards shipping. And I keep seeing people crushing it on Facebook Marketplace, and they only have like 5% fees. So I've been telling myself I need to jump back into it. So I will be getting into that shortly, but that's the reason I quit using them, and I'm looking to get back into it.
Nothing, man. How about this? If you want to get back on Facebook Marketplace, tell the VAs we'll give you 200 free cross lists, right? Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, cool. Get you up on there as fast as possible.
Yeah, I need to be.
Actually, fuck it. We'll do your whole store, right? Let's do your whole store. If you want it over at Facebook Marketplace, let us know. Let the VAs. I told them that, and then you can always tell me as well.
If that's cool with you, I'll text them right after we get off here.
Yeah, let's get you on there, man. Because we've been seeing a lot of weight on. I think Facebook Marketplace is. I've been saying it's a dark horse, man. People are moving weight on there. Not as much as Poshmark, but like you will get more sales than Mercari. I would even switch off Mercari if you wanted to save some cash. It's what we like that, and also Depop for things that are clothes that have been tried on or that like are modeled. It's insane. Some guy we have this one guy that he's moving weight on Depop. Other than that, the rest of them are kind of. Those are probably the big four. Yeah.
Yep. I've never tried Depop before, but I do know several people that sell quite a bit on there.
Nice. Oh, and Flip just had the 1,000 pounds delivered to his house. Yo, Flip, let us know if it's actually good or not, man. I checked it out. It looked like so when I was there, I gave it a quick check. I was going to run through them, and they're going to be different because it's all credentialized. Yeah. And again, for anybody who wants to know, credentialized hasn't been picked through. Institutional is bin store items that has been picked through, right? So anybody who wants to know like terminology on that side, it's kind of super interesting. I went there. There was some stuff. I'm like, okay, for the poundage, let's see if this works. And if anybody on here, Dalton, same with you, man. If anybody on here knows a place that you can pick up items for and needs cash for it, we're more than happy to give stuff to test out. We want to build this community as much as possible. Cool. Yeah. Other than that, like, kind of what's your next game plan? What's this week looking like? And anything fun come out? I know you said give everybody where you're at right now. I know. And how's the vacation been so far?
Yep. So right now I'm in Coffeyville, Kansas. Nothing exciting about that. That's just where I grew up, spending the time with my parents. But I just got finished up a trip to Texas. We had our family reunion in Austin, or not Austin, but San Antonio. And I had the opportunity to hop on over to Houston to meet Flip the World, and then as well as Austin and Dallas to meet a few other resellers. So definitely didn't get as much sourcing in because like when you look at the map of Texas, like you don't realize how big it is until you're in state. So like, San Antonio's right here, Houston's right here, Austin's here, and Dallas is here. So I thought, I'd have a chance to hit all these cities and do some thrifting and meet up some resellers, and then I get in state, and it's like 3 to 4 hours apart. So I'm like rushing around, driving, trying to meet these people. I didn't get much thrifting in, but it was nice to meet everybody.
Definitely, no, we definitely do that, and also come down. You're in Florida. We're gonna do a storm the thrift in Texas. I think East Texas. We're looking to get 100 resellers. Big prize at the end. We got the okay from Goodwill, the CEO of Goodwill. So you're more than welcome to come to that. So it should be interesting. You know the lay of the land.
Yeah. When is that?
Oh, we haven't decided yet. Probably next 2 months, I'm guessing. We want to be a little cooler in Texas before we start running out because Arizona's hotter than hell, man. And Florida's pretty toast.
Pretty rough too. There was a couple of days it was over 100, and I was dying.
Dude, what the F? Next time I'll probably be down in Miami soon. Let's meet up and kick it for a bit.
Yeah.
And then Flip the World. Is he as crazy in person as I get over text message?
Man, he's like 10 times crazier. No, I definitely say he's just like you'd expect in person.
Awesome. And then who else did you see? What other resellers did you check out in Texas?
So I met up with a reseller in San Antonio to go to a flea market. His name's Michael. Doesn't push a lot of content. I just interact with him a lot on my Instagram, so I definitely had to meet up with him. Then I hopped over to Houston and met Flip. And then after that, I went to Austin, met Victoria E. Thrifts, just another one I communicate with a lot on Instagram. Popped up to Dallas, and that's where I met Rally, who goes by the Endless Thrift on Instagram. And I finished it off by meeting Little Elm Goods and Little Elm Thrifts. We just had dinner before I was able to hop up to Kansas.
Nice, man. How far is Kansas from Texas?
So from Dallas, it's about a 5-hour drive.
Well, not too bad. A little bit of distance, but still. Yeah. And then are you driving back to Florida? Or are you flying back?
Yeah, I'm driving back. So I'm always every time I go on vacation, like on paper, it looks like a good idea to drive, right? So you can hit up all these thrift stores and write off the trip, but then you get like 14 hours into the drive, and it's like, this was stupid. I should have just flown.
You can always ship stuff back to your house. Go to the thrift store and get a couple extra bags. That'd be wild.
Yeah.
Nice, man. And we can jump back into, let's see anything in the comments. What's going on, Jeff? Flips back, little big shoe game, Little Elm big shoe game. I have no idea what that is. Renzi.
Yeah, Little Elm Goods and Little Elm Thrifts. They only sell shoes with a little bit of denim, and they are absolutely crushing it. Like they're killing it. They have employees. I learned so much just having dinner with them. They're doing so much more than I am, and I can't wait to catch up to it.
And then like what were they doing different?
So they have the business model where they price really high. So they have a lot of active listings, and their average sell price or average profit per pair is much higher than mine is. And then they also, something that I'm going to start implementing that they recommended is they are all for having death piles. As long as they're working through it. Like they try to stay a week or 2 weeks ahead of the curve. So they'll source as much inventory as possible and have that death pile. And then they'll clean, like every week that they're cleaning and photographing is for the next week. So they're not rushed every single day to like, oh, I have to clean and photograph 15 pairs of shoes today so I can get them listed. Like they're already a week or 2 weeks ahead of the curve. And that was like, when they said that, I was like, why have I not even thought about this? So that's the biggest thing I took away from the conversation that we had.
Is it just because like they pretty much batch, right? So they go thrifting hard, grab a bunch of product, and then they batch cleaning, then batch photoing, right? Those blocks usually work pretty well.
Which is exactly how I've done it. But the way that I've done it is I'd source, and then I'd get those shoes listed as fast as possible, and then I'd go source again. With them, they have days set up I'm assuming, I didn't quite ask if it's the same day every week, but they have days that they go source, and then days that they clean, and days that they photograph, and it's always a week ahead. So it's not like they're like rushing to hit deadlines or anything.
Are they still doing the thrift model as well?
Yes, they are. They've done bulk in the past. I'm not sure how much that they still do it, like bought pallets, but they mainly source from the thrift store.
And then they do denim as well. Is it just jeans, no jean jackets, stuff like that, just baseline?
Yeah, just jeans. They said that it's about 70% shoes, 30% jeans.
Interesting. And then 100%. If the model works, but you can get somewhat replenishables in terms of like used inventory, even new inventory, then just like push it through the system as much as possible. We're in terms of the batching, kind of give you what we're doing on our end. So those shoes, we're batching all the freaking death pile of shoes, breaking them down left, right, matching, and then we're doing about 10 to 15 photoers that will just photo, and then just batching. It's a lot easier to batch things, especially at scale, than having to split it up.
Yeah, because it's that snowball effect, right? Once you get started on something, that snowball starts getting going. Yeah,
100%. You probably see it as well. Like when you source, thrift, and then photo, there's that lag in between, right? Like I know me, like the mentality is like, okay, shit, I gotta do this. I used to do the same stuff, man. Sweet. And then do you think about just sticking with shoes, or are you trying to move to a different model as well, or are you trying to solely do shoes, dig down as much as you can?
As far as right now, I'm just digging in on shoes and trying to scale as much as I can with shoes. I've tried doing other things in the past, and it's just kind of like throwing a wrench in the machine. Like I have all these systems, I guess, set up in place, and whenever you throw something else in, it just throws all that off.
And then, let's talk about your system as well. How are you doing it? Kind of give us your process, because process is the big thing, especially for newer resellers that they struggle with.
So it's just like those batches we talked about. I'll go source. I'll source all day, and I won't really do anything after that. So I'll have a whole day of sourcing, and then the next day I'll attack cleaning them. Usually the cleaning will take 1 or 2 days, and then I'll photograph everything and then get them on my phone. And then so the way I use you guys is I list on eBay, and then I just text my VA and have them cross list. So those are the way I batch things up. It's the sourcing, the cleaning, the listing, or the photographing, and then listing on eBay, and then it's just shooting a text to the VA and having them cross list to Poshmark and Mercari.
Interesting. And then you price. Dalton has a second hand, right?
That's me.
Oh, damn freaking Flip. Yeah, he's probably just crazy.
Yep.
Yep. And then, do you have the VA's price on eBay, or how do you have it priced?
No, so I do the pricing myself because it's kind of like we mentioned earlier. I have an idea of everything. I know how I want everything priced, and I'm just OCD, I guess, and I want all my prices to be the same on like either 39 or 49, and then I'm just random and throw it 87 cents at the end. So all of my listings on eBay are like 49.87, 39.87, 59.87. So I just do that and then have the VA cross list the same price on the Poshmark Mercari.
Nice. Why 87?
Because it's 987. I don't know. It's just something to be unique.
I feel like you'd be more like, never mind, I was making a joke. I was like 0.69, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm shocked somebody hasn't done that yet.
Yeah, honestly, you might do that with ours. That'll be really freaking funny, honestly. Oh my God, man. Anything you want to go over? If not, we can keep diving down this topic. Anything that you want to talk about? Anything you want to ask the audience while you're here?
Oh, not really. I mean, I like the direction this is gone. We've covered quite a bit. So, I mean, you can keep it coming. There's nothing I really had in mind. Nothing I expected out of this.
100%. Let's take some comments. Anybody in the comment section, flip the world. I know you have freaking multiple comments just running through your head.
Always had something to say.
Oh my God. I mean, he hits me up at like 11. I hit him up, and it's probably back and forth. He hits me up at like 11 to 12 o'clock in Arizona time. You guys are in Central time. It's probably 2 o'clock your time. He's probably, what the hell is this dude doing at this point? Yep. Dancing Ryan Reynolds, 100%, dude. Yeah, and Flip. Let's see how those shoes work out. If they work out, text me. We can obviously bring Dalton in. We're getting Dalton with that side. I think our guy he hit COVID, and then he's getting his warehouse manager to give us the quote, so we can move over that on that side. So if anybody doesn't know, we're funding the cash for this. Again, we're doing a lot of tests with this kind of stuff. We want to get resellers as much product as possible. I want to buy multiple millions of dollars worth of product in the next couple months. So however we can do that, so we're more than happy to push that moving forward. Cool. Have you done any new products lately, or do you buy any new shoes? Or are you looking for new shoes, or is it just purely you want to run through the used game? Yeah,
so lately I've just been running through the used game, but I've sold plenty of shoes that I've sourced from like Ross, Marshalls, Burlington. But just lately I just haven't. I mean, I have these sourcing routes set up, and usually if I'm going to source at Ross and Burlington and Marshalls, they're more hit or miss than the thrift stores. So it's just like if I have a free day, I'll go hit them up. I've also sourced at the Nike outlets, but the competition there is ridiculous. So I never have much luck there. And then I've also in the past done like online arbitrage, buying from like Foot Locker and places like that with coupon codes. But I mean, the profit margins are only like 20%. So I'd much rather stick to the used shoes where I'm 3xing my money on average.
No, 100%. So you're looking for that big chunk each time. You're looking for that 3x continuous, right?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, there's pros and cons to both sides. I mean, with the new shoes, I'm not cleaning or anything, so it's just a trade-off. But I do prefer cleaning the used shoes and taking that 3x profit as opposed to maybe 20 to 50% on new shoes.
100%. Is it just because like is like cash flow what you're looking, or is there like a cash flow issue? Because I know like when we're running eBay, it wasn't too much looking for that new side. The cash flow is kind of there most of the time since you have buy so low, maybe hold on a little bit longer. But like when we're running eBay, right, eBay to Amazon, I burned I was 120,000 in credit card debt at one time, 60,000 in PayPal loans, all that jazz. And like it's just like the more you scale, the less cash flow you have. Is that reason why you're only looking towards that? You're looking for that 2 to 3x, or is it just because this is what's here? Or kind of your thoughts?
So let's see how I want to frame this. With the new shoes, it's not necessarily so when I'm selling new shoes, they're obviously selling faster than the used shoes. The only thing is the problem I ran into is finding the inventory, because those markets are a lot more competitive. Like there's more people that go on YouTube and see like Reezy flipping shoes from Marshalls, and they want to do that versus the people that see people like Renzi going to thrift stores, because that's just not as fun. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's more of a competition game, and getting enough inventory in. I can get way more inventory in sourcing used than I can new. it's never really been a cash flow problem because, like you mentioned, I source everything on credit cards, and I mean 9 times out of 10 those shoes are selling within 30 days. So they're paid off easy. So I'm not putting any capital up front. So it's never been a cash flow issue. It's just more getting that inventory in.
And then 2 questions. One, your credit card points. You kicking ass at credit card points or what? Is that how you paid for your vacation?
Yeah, I don't understand why it's not talked about more. That's why I've been kind of putting out content around that. I mean, when you're using credit cards, obviously you got to be responsible. Like if you're in debt, like don't use credit cards. And I know what you're doing, but like if you're responsible with your money and you're using a debit card, you're just losing money. 100%. You know, first off, you're paying your own money for the shoes that you're buying. Like I haven't spent money on shoes in months just because the bank's paying for the shoes. I'm paying the bank back within 30 days, and then all the rest of that profit's mine. Plus, I'm getting all of these hotel points, and I stayed 4 nights in a row on Labor Day weekend and didn't pay $1. I mean, I had to pay taxes, but I didn't pay a single dollar for the rooms, and that's my whole vacation. I'm not spending any money.
I freaking love it. And then, do you have a reseller's tax ID?
Sorry, say that again.
Do you have a wholesale reseller's tax ID?
No, I don't have anything like that. No.
Dalton, we're getting you one, man. You got that's one thing you have to do for sure. We had to convince Flip to get one as well. Really, really worth it, especially if you're trying to do bulk or even going. Is there sales tax in Florida?
Yes, there is.
Yeah, dude, you could be taking that in Arizona. It's 8.9%. So it's like you can get that sales tax off on all Goodwill transactions. You just got to show them.
Even at thrift stores as well.
Everything. It's anything you are going to resell. So even if it's boxes that you buy, you can get and you can say that as a cost of goods and you're charging for it. You can legitimately, obviously I'm not a tax professional, blah, 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 but you can legitimately take no sales tax on any of that because it's getting pushed to the client, right? As long as you're selling that and then somebody's paying the sales tax.
I understand. I've always understood how it works. I never looked into it because I guess I assumed that you can't use those at thrift stores. But if you can, I guess I've been wasting money.
Yeah, dude, it's fantastic. I know, I'm not sure how like Goodwill did it, but I know Sabres, like you just show them it and then they'll type it in. I think Goodwill's probably the same. Side note, Goodwill's POS system, they run on Dynamic 365 Microsoft. So like they have a little bar. If they say they can't do it, they're full of it or they're new. And there's a little bar in there where they can type the tax ID in across the board.
Cool. I guess I definitely need to look into that now.
Also on eBay too, if you ever buy online, except for Mercari. For some reason, Mercari doesn't do it. I'm not sure why. Cool, man. Yeah, Flipboard, you can update your eBay store on all supplies and tax-free and write-offs. Hey, Flip, good job, Flip, across the board. Cool, man. Let's see if anything else is in comments. Nothing recently. Sweet. So let's run through your Ross and Burlington and Marshalls. Like, how often do you still source there, and what kind of like product and what kind of ROI do you look for on those?
So lately, I haven't been. It's probably been 2 months since I've sourced at a place like that. But when I was sourcing there frequently, worst case scenario, I'd want to double my money. So I was very selective, obviously, because there's not much that they're putting out, especially now. I feel like they've kind of caught on to the resale industry, similar to how Goodwill has. So they've raised their prices a little bit. Yeah. But I mean, I was fairly successful at finding products at Ross that I could at least double my money on. Plus, with the no fees on eBay over $100, that kind of made things a lot easier. So most of those flips were just going straight to eBay, less on Poshmark and Mercari. And then another thing I'd look out for at those places are the floods, because I'm not sure how familiar you are with how Ross and them work, but they get a lot of the same product and they'll sit on the shelves and the resellers will crash the market. So the comps don't look good, but like if they're Air Max 270s, which is I'm currently sitting on probably like 15 pairs of these Air Max 270 Reacts that I got all from Ross for $42 all in after tax. And I bought them probably like 6 months ago. So these are long-term investments, but they just started selling recently for like $100 to $120. So if you can hold out and wait for the market to rebound on some of these floods that you see, that's where some real money can be made from Ross and Marshalls and Burlington.
Nice. Did you know it beforehand, or did you kind of get stuck with them? You're like, okay, I'm going to sit on because I need to sit on them.
Yeah, no, I 100% knew that beforehand. Because like you kind of get an idea, right? If you're going to like 5 Rosses in the same day and you're seeing the you're seeing 10 pairs of the same shoe at every stop. And then you look up comps and you're like, okay, I can see why these are still sitting, even though they're a popular model that people are crazy about right now. Resellers have just crashed to the market because they're floods. So they all bought them and they want to sell them as fast as possible. Most of them are losing money. If you can hold out for all those to sell 6 months to a year later, and then you own the market, you can make plenty of money doing that.
Love it, man. And you listen to any resellers right now? Like what's kind of the content you're picking up on? Is it any like you talk about like Instagram and TikTok as well? Are you listening to that kind of content, or who you listen to recently?
Yeah, so honestly, I'm terrible at consuming reselling content. Like there's so many people. I love it. I do watch it like when I'm cleaning shoes sometimes, but I'm in it, so I don't really I don't want to spend all of my days consuming the exact same thing and doing the exact same thing. Someone mentioned Graham Stephan. He's probably one of my favorite YouTubers. Yeah, really definitely the content that I'm consuming is more around the financial side of things, not just straight reselling. Like lately, I've been diving into blockchain NFTs, trying to learn that space. I'm big into investing, so anytime I'm consuming content, I'm trying to learn about something, and I feel like there's a lot that I can learn in the reselling industry. It's just harder for me to find those things to learn since it's such a broad space, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like that, like I would say like mid-tier people that are in the reselling game that are making good money, right? That pushing out a lot of content, right? But to find like those kind of gems, either they're like one of the larger resellers that we work with, they won't even be on camera with me. They're like, "Yo, I am not being on camera with you." I want no one to be here. I want no one to know who I am at this point, right?
Yep.
It's kind of interesting. And on the finance side of the thing, like anything you've learned recently that you'd want to pass along?
Oh man, we could do a whole nother podcast. Like this whole drive up here. That's the one thing I do like about driving to these vacations is I can just throw on a podcast on a topic that I'm ignorant about and learn for 15 hours. And this trip was NFTs. I thought, a month ago, if you would ask me, I thought it was just these art pieces that you see online. But I encourage everybody that this is. I mean, I'm obsessed right now. This is a space that is very early, and people are diving into the art aspect of it because they want to flex and show people these things that they paid 55 Ethereum for. But there's more of a contract side of it, and I think all contracts that we are going to have in the future are going to be living on the blockchain in the form of NFTs. Like I said, I could talk about this for an hour, but I don't think that we want to get into that. So I definitely encourage anybody who's watching this to look into it because it's so early.
No, yeah, same thing. I've been, and you make any money off it too? Any big wins?
Are you asking if I have?
Yeah.
No, not in NFTs. I've been researching these past few days because, like I said, I just learned about this. Like I really dove in a week ago, and I'm trying to find the right plays to make. But a lot of them are. I mean, we're talking about at least one Ethereum to buy some piece of an NFT, and Ethereum's sitting at 3,500 right now. So I'm trying to play with gambling money that I'm okay with losing. So I'm trying to find the right plays and not lose, $3,500 on one trade. But I mean, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah. At least you learn, right?
Yeah, of course.
And then Flip asks, Dalton, do you have any set week, month, or year goals?
Oh man. Every time I post a question on on Instagram, if like and ask me anything on Instagram, I always get questions like this, and I'm a terrible planner. Like I'm like I when I make my mind up on something, I do it. I don't sit here and think, in a year this is where I want to be. I just kind of go with the flow. Definitely, I'd probably do set weekly goals in terms of like I want to get this much listed. I want to invest this much. I want to sell this much this week. And same with months, it's basically the same thing. But as far as like yearly, 5-year goals, 10-year goals, that's just I just don't operate that way.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm the same way, man. Like it's kind of like.
Last time somebody asked me this, the response I gave was, if you asked me 5 years ago or 10 years ago that I would be selling shoes full time, like used shoes full time on the internet, I would have called you crazy. And I guarantee you, in 5 years or 10 years, I'll probably feel the same way about whatever I'm doing then.
And then like what were you trying to do 5 years ago? What do you think you'd be doing right now?
Man, so my parents own a restaurant, and I grew up in that industry, and I know that industry, and I could do it well, but it always felt like a job. So that's what I thought I wanted to get into because I knew I'd be good at it. But I knew it would be a job, so that's why I kind of steered away from that. But yeah, I went straight from the restaurant industry into reselling, so there's never been really any other transition period.
Nice. So you said 18 months ago you were full time. About 2 years ago you were part time. Before that, right? So that's what, 6 month time period. And then were you working at your family restaurant, or what were you doing before that?
No. So my family restaurant's here in Kansas, and basically after I graduated high school, I pretty much threw a dart at the map and ended up in Orlando.
Okay.
So I just this is a very small town that they live in. So I just wanted to get out of that. Moved to Orlando, stayed in the restaurant industry through like serving and bartending. So that's what I did. Happened to come across, I happened to get into a job with someone who's now one of my really good friends who put me on to reselling. And so we kind of did it together. We hit garage sales, and it just exploded after that. That's when I found, like Rally Roots and Renzi and those kind of people, and seeing what's possible. And yeah, within probably 6 months to a year, that's when I went full time.
Love it, man. Love it. Any last comments to give to everybody? If not, we will end this one. And again, thank you for your time, man.
Yeah, no, of course. I don't really have anything to send off with. This time went by really quick. We had a great conversation. I really appreciate you having me on.
Definitely. And check out Dealing with Dalton, and it's same on YouTube, correct?
Yeah, same on everything. Dealing with Dalton on all platforms.
Awesome. Yeah, check out Dealing with Dalton on all platforms. Adam, give him like, subscribe, all that jazz. Other than that, shout out to everybody in the comments, eBay Addicts, Flip, Renzi, all you guys. Love you guys to death. And again, Dalton, thank you again for your time and for being a Hammock team member, family member, man.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Definitely. And ask the VAs for those free for the free cross lists.
Okay, I really appreciate that. Yeah, we're hitting up Facebook Marketplace right now.
Hell yeah.